Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the OCVarsity Gridiron Show. Welcome to the CIF quarterfinal edition. So I am calling it quarterfinals, even though technically Division One, you might say, is the first round, but there's only 8 teams in the bracket. So Division One coming off the bye week, there are quarterfinals here on the OCVarsity Gridiron Show. One thing is for sure certain is my partner here, Steve Fryer, is on fire with his picks. 4-1 last week to build a 3-game lead with me, Steve. It's getting late in the season. I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to be able to catch up with you.
You can do it. I can mess up. I'm very capable.
I don't know. You have been on fire with your picks this week, but it's good to have Division One back into the fold. I definitely missed them last week. Did you miss all those Division One contenders playing last week?
No, they can wait. I like what we had. It was super. It was fun. I mean, Losal come back on Yorba. The Huntington Edison game. I was at Edison.
Yes.
Stalwart defense as I anticipated. They were really good. Put some pressure on Brady Edmonds. That guy's. Something about Brady Edmonds. Big 6'5" guy, gunslinger dude. He's got quick feet. He's like, he can like move around dudes and stuff. He's an interesting guy. I really enjoy watching him play. And Troy Foster, uncoverable as a defensive guy there, but dang, little Sam Thompson, did it for Edison. That guy was thorough. He's hits dudes. He's got the guy Au, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, last name.
Yeah,
a fumble recovery, an INT. Guy was just great. Player of the game for sure. And there was a lot of cool stuff out there last week. San Juan Hill's getting their win. Tustin losing again in the first round. Dan, what the heck? So much talent over there.
Yeah,
it's just bad luck.
Yeah, I was surprised by how lopsided that score was against Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah,
good Rancho Cucamonga team. Tustin was banged up, but they certainly didn't. Play that well either. So they're junior heavy team. I'm sure the Tillers will be back, but that was a tough one. Division 2 is a tough bracket. You got to be. I kind of wrote in my blitz that you kind of have to be a Division 1 borderline team to have success in Division 2.
Concur, man.
All right. Well, Steve Fryer's record stands at 44-17 on the year. I am 3 games behind at 41-20. But let's look into a full complement of everybody in Orange County, the best of the best playing here in the quarterfinals. Some great games. So let's go first, Mr. Fryer. Let's go to Division 8. And I want to talk about Fullerton against Beckman. This game is going to be on Friday. All these games on Friday.
Yeah.
November 14th. And this game's going to be at Tustin High School. So interesting one here is that Beckman is on a 7-game winning streak. That includes a 34-14 victory against Fullerton in the Lambda League. So, and that made Beckman, in that streak, the Lambda League champion. So they got that victory in league against the Fullerton Indians. But Fullerton's a great story themselves, Steve, right? Because they were 0-10 last year, first season under Pete Karavitis, and here they are. 9-2, taking on 8-3 Beckman. To go from 0-10 to 9 wins and playing in the quarterfinals, what a remarkable turnaround. But as good as job as Coach Karavitis has done with that outstanding coaching staff, can they beat a solid, pretty balanced team in Beckman? This is this could be a tough game, maybe closer this time than last time. Who do you got on this one?
Beckman, 34-14 says something. And, Beckman, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they started 1-3, and then they got rolling. And that 34-14 win, Tchaikovsky, their running back, 165 yards, Noah Nam, typically very efficient game at quarterback for them. I like the way that they balance it out, and I think that 34-14. It's hard to beat a good team twice, as we always say. But I think that that Beckman is maybe under our radar as far as how good they are. But and that league's a decent league, man. So I think 34-14, that's a 20-point thing. Can you swing it, 20 points, from if you're Fullerton? I say no. I think Beckman wins the game.
Yeah. And, on the flip side, coaching, I think Coach Marcelo does a good job, very good job at Beckman.
Marcello Giuliano.
So I think, you can't discount what he's done at Beckman. Nope. And, I'm also picking the Patriots to win this game.
Okay.
But I definitely think it's worthy to talk about it and examine it.
Oh, yeah. It's a
great out of respect for the job that Fullerton has done. But I think Beckman's going to the semifinals in Division 8. All right, Steve, let's go to Division 4, a team that I don't believe we've talked about too much on the OCVarsity Gridiron. Happy to do so now. How about Villa Park, 7-4, playing host to Great Oak, 8-3, and this game's going to be at El Medina High School on Friday night in Division 4. This one's interesting to me, Steve, because you got Great Oak second in the Big West lower division, Big West League lower division.
Yeah.
Then you got Villa Park, young and up and coming team, kind of flying under the radar. I think in the Bravo League, where a lot of the attention goes to, and rightfully so, teams like San Juan Hills and Yorba Linda and Corona del Mar.
Right.
But then I feel like Villa Park maybe got lost in the shuffle this season with their younger squad. But did they definitely rose in the first round of the Division 4 playoffs, knocking off previously undefeated Westlake on the road, no less, 28-24. Got a couple guys on Villa Park on my roster, on my radar, on Coach Anch's teams that I want to spotlight. And of course, running back sophomore Coy Collins is doing very well. And then junior quarterback Matthew Smith, he was a transfer during the offseason from Loyola. He's steadily played well. He actually had some playoff experience last year. So right now, all of a sudden, Villa Park, I feel like this is an interesting spot for Coach Anch's team, maybe developing ahead of schedule. Who do you got on this one?
Yeah, can you smell the momentum over there at Villa Park? You can smell the momentum. They're getting it going. Coy Collins, his dad was a great running back at Loyola, played for Herb Hill in the 90s. This kid looks like the same kind of guy when I saw him play. Matt Smith did not play. He was not the quarterback because, he's sit up here guy. And he's made a difference, I think, too. Vinny Legata, gutsy player. Really enjoyed watching him, man. You talk about a guy who went for it and played with a ton of courage. Really cool player. Great Oak, you look at their record, Dan, who'd they lose to? Like Chaparral, Vista Murrieta, the teams in that Big West upper group that has Centennial Corona in it. Man, but I think that I got I feel a momentum buzz over there at VP with Coach Sanchez's group. I think they're feeling it. You mentioned how good the Bravo League is with Yorba Linda, San Juan Hills, Corona del Mar, et cetera. That got them battle tested, man. They're ready to go for these playoffs, providing they come out of that sort of gauntlet healthy. I got Villa Park winning this game and moving on to the semis.
All right. And as I have the Spartans as well. Maybe I tip my hand by pulling in this game that I do believe in the Villa Park. And again, going on the road to beat an undefeated Westlake team, 28-24 in the first round, that impresses me. And here they are, their reward back at home Friday night. I'm sure it will be a tough game, but I do have Villa Park advancing as well. All right.
You know what? If people look back at predictions that some guy who writes for the Register does, I think you will see that he had Westlake winning that division. Wonder who that guy is.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's forget about that. Move on.
Yeah. I do remember that. We'll be talking about another one of your predictions, but you actually you had some other ones. You have plenty of picks still alive, Steve. That was just
whatever. That would kill me, dude.
That's still some ones.
That one's stung.
All right, let's go to Division 2. Like we said, Division 2 is a beast of a division, but this is a great Orange County matchup. San Juan Hills, 2-9. We'll talk about that in a sec. Versus Los Alamitos, 9-2. This game's gonna be Friday at the friendly confines of Veteran Stadium. So, Stallions last week they overcame their forfeit saga. That's why their record is at 2-9, and they overcame Downey to post a 28-27 win on a last second field goal. That was heroic performance there. And then Los Al won 35-28 against Yorba Linda in a great game that was also at Veteran Stadium. and it was more Lenny Abaro, speaking of heroics coming through in the second half. Los Al had to really rally in this game. They were down 14 points a couple times in this game, and they came back, and Lenny even sealed the win with a leaping interception in the end zone in the final seconds. He had scored 2 touchdowns in the second half. But I think this is a great game because it seemed, San Juan Hills impressed me where it seemed like for a lot of, from the outside looking in, Steve, it looked like they blocked out the noise of the forfeit saga and took care of business against a good Downey team. But here they are, in a big spot to get to the Division II semis. And it's an interesting game too from the quarterback matchup. I think will be key. I thought Los Al's Colin Creason, he played very well, kind of under the radar last week where, obviously Lenny was making some highlight plays, but Colin Creason, he was 10 for 10 in my book in the second half. And he played really steady. And that's going to be huge. And for all teams, teams in the playoffs, they need good quarterback play this time of year. But on the flip side, how can Los Al, how are they going to defend, an outstanding quarterback in Timmy Herr? So, and it's a talented San Juan receiving core. So I think that's kind of a matchup because the strength of Los Al, I think is, line of scrimmage, what they can do with the ground game with Lenny or Tillis.
Yeah.
Then they kind of the run sets up their pass, and then defensively they're good against the run. They got a good defensive line. They have a good offensive line too, but good linebackers. But I think you start to wonder, I think, about how they defend the pass. Even Yorba Linda, not known for the biggest pass plays, made some highlight passes against Los Al. So that's for me, that's the interesting matchup where I wonder how that Los Al secondary is going to hold up against Timmy Herr and all those receivers.
Yeah.
We know about Lenny Ibarra and Los Alamitos. They really is talking about overcoming. They had a rough stretch at the end of the year to some degree with a surprisingly lopsided loss at San Clemente. They were in the game with Mission, and then they gave up 28 points in the fourth quarter, lost that one. So, but here they bounced back. They had, it seems like it took a little while in that game against Yorba to kind of find themselves. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, you're talking about the San Juan Hills passing game. Ryan Matheson and especially Luke Frith, really fine receiver group over there. Timmy can Timmy Herr, the quarterback, can run it if he's got to run it too. He's pretty good at that. And this Lenny Ibarra guy, he kind of shows up every week, doesn't he?
He does show up.
Touchdowns. He's also their leading tackler last week too. If anybody deserves to go on a long cruise or something like that at the end of the season, Lenny deserves it, man. That guy needs to sleep for about 2 months after this season. He's done everything, returns kicks, everything. Wonderful player. Somewhere we're going to find a nice little spot for him on the all-county group, I think, Dan.
Absolutely.
But anyway, getting back to it, Los Al, man, I'm going with Los Alamitos because I just think they got the athletes to do this. San Juan Hills, they did cut out all the noise from the forfeits and all that. Not so much cut it out, but I think they thrived on it. Us against the world, everybody hates us. That's good juju, man. That can fire up the kids. And I think that's what it did. And I'm sure Coach Frith, Robert Frith, bright as heck, he did that. And can they ride that wave again emotionally? They probably spent a ton of emotion in that game. Let's see if they can rev it up again. But I got Los Al in this game. I think they got the athletes guy. What do you got?
Okay. Got Los Al going into the semifinals of Division II. I believe the computer's power rankings projections on HS ratings, I believe they have San Juan Hills winning this game by a somewhat decisive, quarterfinal margin. I don't know if it was 5 to 6 points or something like that. But I am going with Los Al. I do think they have pretty special team this year with their chemistry, some of their leadership. I like their pace that they play with when they're on, with Lenny and Tillis running the ball. Hofflin as a good target at tight end and some of their creativity on offense. It's just that that back end has got to hold up, and I think they really got to try to put some pressure on Timmy Herr as well.
Yeah,
and they were starting to do a better job of that. Renger, who's a really good defensive end, they made some plays. They got some pressure going on Yorba Linda, but that's going to be a tough game. But I really think it's a good one. Is that the game you're covering, Steve?
That is the game I'm covering, and as I understand it, Dan, you told them that I'm not going unless they put in an elevator to get up to that press box. Did they do that, Dan? Did they install that elevator yet?
I think maybe you should hold out hope for the renovation of Veteran Stadium that they put in the new one. I think they'll be up to code, right? They're going to have to put in an elevator.
Yeah, you have to do it. ADA staff. And I'm close to being ADA as far as like climbing up those steps. I think our friend Kent Bickle calls it Mount Vets. You go up there, and as I'm going up there and people want to stop and talk to me for a little bit, please do, so I can catch my breath going up that thing.
Yeah, maybe say hi to Mr. Abara. Is a very
cool. I've never met
fan. Look for somebody nice guy wearing a Lenny Abara shirt. I got to see that on my way up to the stadium.
Yes, you took a picture of it.
Yeah, okay.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was cool. And
you knew young lingo to describe it. I don't know what that was.
I might have tried to get fancy. All right. Let's move to Division I. Like I said, I was missing these boys last week. I want everybody playing. The bye week in the playoffs is strange. I'm sure it's hard to at this time of year to lose some of those momentum, but I'm glad to see all these guys playing this week. Division I. How about this one, Steve? Santa Margarita, 7-3 at Sierra Canyon, 10-0. So this is a terrific game in Division I. Sierra Canyon, as Steve was alluding to with his picks, he picked the Trailblazers to win Division I. And I can see why, like you wrote, Steve, they have speed galore, especially on defense, a very important part of the game.
Yes.
Understand why you like the speed on defense. And you look at these scores on the season. Sierra Canyon has outgained their opponents 445-43. Several shutouts. They got college commits everywhere, especially in the secondary. But they've played no close games at all. And that's what does concern me about Trailblazers, that they haven't played any close games and been really tested. Where on the opposite, Santa Margarita, they can lean on to the fact is we played a tougher schedule and we're more prepared for the playoffs because non-league we played Mission Viejo and we played Centennial Corona. We beat the Huskies. We played Bishop Gorman, the Nevada powerhouse that, how many teams play Bishop Gorman? Not very many teams. Last I counted, Mater Dei seems to be the only Southern California team that I really notice playing Bishop Gorman. Now Santa Margarita is playing Bishop Gorman again. So that's big. And they come from the Trinity League where they had to battle with St. John Bosco. And, they had to battle every week. They had Mater Dei.
The weekly wars is what I used to call them.
Yeah. So I think Santa Margarita, you can't overlook them. And the other thing is that the vibe I get from the Eagles this year is that in their first year under Coach Carson Palmer is they've at each step of the season for them. I feel like they've always kind of made that extra step this year and made that progress under Coach Palmer.
Yeah.
And it was the Mater Dei win. It was the Centennial win. They've done that little step. And here they have a lot of time to prepare. The Eagles have a dynamite defense themselves. How they're going to score points everybody's going to have that challenge against Sierra Canyon. Going to be interesting. Maybe a trick play. I don't know. But who do you have in this game? You have Sierra Canyon. I don't even have to ask you, right?
Yeah. Sierra Canyon. I'm sticking with it. One word that you and I have not mentioned yet so far, and it's going to come into play: rain.
Yes. Right. Good timely.
Yeah. Rain is gonna be a factor. Don't do trick plays in the rain, boys. Just don't. It's a disaster waiting to happen. You're gonna get an 8, 10, 12-yard loss. All of a sudden you're looking at 3rd and 20 or something like that. Don't want to do that at that level of any level of football, but especially in the D1 game, man. Just Go with what you're good at. I remember Brett Johnson always telling me, remember he was he was offensive coordinator, great quarterback, one of the best that we've ever had here, maybe the best. And he told me, if you're using trick plays because you don't believe in your stuff. Okay. And I've always remembered Brett saying that. And Brett was, and by the way, shout out to Rob for what he's working with Luke Fahey. It's the best quarterback, in SoCal. Yeah. Yes. The Johnson dudes know how to coach up a little bit. So anyway, going back, Sierra Canyon, Joe Ellenhouse will have his guys ready to go in that game. Points are going to be hard to get by. Sierra Canyon's only allowed 4 points a game, Dan. Margarita, I love that team so much, man. They're so much fun. I love their defensive guys, Holani and Fafita in the linebacker spot. Big Faupusa up front there, big old guy, 360 pounds, nose guard. Yikes. Two guys got to block him. Opens up somebody else. If you got two guys blocking one dude. But Sierra Canyon's got that speed on defense, which is where I like to see it. I got to stick with the Sierra Canyon thing. Wouldn't put it past Margarita, getting better all the time. Battle tested in that gosh darn Trinity League, but I'm still going with the Sierra Canyon boys in this game at home.
Okay. Hey, with all respect to Coach Bob Johnson and all the Johnsons, who I definitely respect, they were often the favorites where they maybe didn't have to. When you're the underdog looking to pull the surprise, that's when those are the teams that kind of have to look for the trick plays. Sure. So I feel like maybe their perspective as the juggernauts that they have been, and often the favorites in games, they don't have to go into the bag of tricks. But I think maybe Santa Margarita might have to find a way to pull the upset. And I am picking the Eagles to upset. Yeah. This is my upset special, and I think as far as the Gridiron show this week, I got Santa Margarita cool. somehow, some way. I don't,
Yeah. And
Trent Mosley on special teams, I don't know, but
yes. And if you're going to do a trick play, Trent Mosley better be in that equation.
Yeah.
Great. Most dangerous player is Orange County. I've said that a zillion times. Fantastic dude. Really cool kid too. Really fun guy to talk to. Yeah. Margarita, man. I wouldn't put it past those guys. Carson's got a great group of coaches, and he's a brainiac. We've seen that. Whoever thought that a Carson Palmer team would be a defensive team? I didn't see that one coming. I think, a Carson Palmer, they're going to throw it. They're going to average 50 points a game. Carson Palmer, one of the best we've ever had come through. A very long, exquisite NFL career, throwing the snot out of it. Saw him play in person a couple of times. Guy could wing it, tough as nails. Came back from a hell of a knee injury too, man. And but yeah, he's coaching a defensive club because he got one of the reasons he got Steve Fafita running the defense over that didn't hurt.
You've got to coach the talent you have. I mean, they return a lot of guys on defense that were there last year.
Coaching opening that Steve Fafita might be interested in? Anything down that way?
I heard there is an opening that's got a rather large sum of money attached to it.
Yeah. I think, maybe there'd be another former Trinity League coach or two who might be interested in that. Might be. Just keep going. Let's go. What's the next?
Anybody who's interested in they posted that job for 200,000 or something, right?
He's making Dan Albano money then.
That's right, man. How about that? So how about closing out Division I at Santa Ana Stadium on Friday night?
There's another game.
Talking about the Johnsons and Mission Viejo. Diablos 9-1, number one in Orange County. There is a tie this week, atop the county rankings, but the Diablos still number one, especially in my book, because they have been number one. They beat Santa Margarita. They lost to a non-county team in Tennessee. They're the Alpha League champs. Santa Margarita beat Mater Dei. So I got Diablos number one until you show me otherwise. And can Mater Dei, they would have to show us otherwise. They're 7-2. Both these teams coming off the bye. And, speaking of showing me, Steve, I mean, Mater Dei showed me a ton in the Trinity League finals of week 10, the way they knocked off and rallied from a 21 point deficit to beat Bosco, which was undefeated and number one in the country. Mater Dei pulled it off and got a share of the Trinity League title. And if that team shows up, and of course, if Mission shows up with Luke Fahey and all those receivers and the explosion they have, even without Van Spafford being, he's been out, he'll be out for the season now, unfortunately. Yeah. That came out recently. So no Van Spafford, but Luke Fahey keeps rolling on with his assortment of receivers, and Coach Chad Johnson doing a great job, with the quarterbacks, and especially with Luke Fahey. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. And I think the number one matchup for me is I'm wondering how can the Mission Viejo defense, how can they hold up against Chris Henry, the way he is looked against St. John Bosco, Caden Dixon Wyatt, and is Mater Dei going to try to again really pound the rock, which was tougher for them against Bosco. They never could do it too much, but they stuck with it. But they're going to try to do that and try to out physical Mission Viejo for a large part of the game. It'd be interesting if they try to do that against the Diablos, but Mater Dei was really committed to the run game for a long time until they started making some long pass plays. But who do you have in this one? Mission Viejo and Mater Dei.
Boy, what a matchup! It's a dream matchup. I'm JD Hill, the really fine defensive lineman for Mission. I think he didn't play in the last game, if I'm correct.
Got banged up.
Yeah, hopefully he's got banged up in that game, the Los Al game.
Yes.
Hopefully he's okay. Really neat kid, fine player, big old guy with a ton of speed, can get after it pretty good. I kind of went back and forth on this game. Mission Viejo, they got you mentioned the receivers, Jack Junker, Woodbury, Carby. Those guys have been great when I've seen them play. And Luke is just, he puts the ball exactly where he wants to put it. But, this Hopkins to Henry, Ryan Hopkins finally played like I thought he always could and always would, and he did against Bosco. Looked great. 5 touchdown passes, Dan? You were at that game.
Yes.
And I always knew that Ryan had it in him, man. So really happy for that cat. Throwing it to Chris Henry, Caden Dixon Wyatt, tough group. Bowman, the tight end, really good guy. They can grind it. They got big dudes up front on both sides of the football. I got Mater Dei winning this game, Dan.
Yes. Okay. I agree with you. I think Mater Dei showed me a lot. And the way they played, they executed. And I thought I had an interesting conversation, post game. I enjoyed talking to Coach Laura, and I was like, I think you guys were playing it seemed like a little bit harder, more intense against Bosco. And he was like, he was cool about it. It was just like, hey man, we just executed better. We took care of the ball, and we've been playing hard. But I agree. The Monarchs, they definitely, took care of the ball, executed better. I did think they played harder though. They looked more intense. Their fan base was definitely into it on the road. I think that spurred on Mater Dei. They had that big game Mater Dei feel to it, as far as the energy coming from the sideline.
Yeah.
So you just wonder though, how's Mater Dei, that's had some problems, being a little up and down. Did this bye week cool them off? Are they going to still bring that? But it's they better against Mission Viejo and Luke Fahey. The Johnsons. I think they'll Chad will have them Diablos fired up.
Yep.
And Chad has a very good record against Trinity League teams because he is from the Trinity League. Longtime St. John Bosco offensive coordinator. He knows exactly about competing against the Mater Deis. Santa Margarita, he's had some impressive, especially against Santa Margarita. He has a very good record, and he's very familiar with the Trinity League team. So that's another thing that's in Mission Viejo's favor. I know nobody wants to hear about Albano talk about passing league competition, but in the summer, Mission did beat them in passing league. I know it's a whole different ball game, but it just speaks to, I don't think Mission Viejo, they're not intimidated is what I'm trying to say against Mater Dei. They're going to show up, they're going to be ready to compete, and they're going to definitely believe that if they play really well, especially on defense, that they can really cause, Mater Dei some trouble. Mission Viejo beat Santa Margarita, narrowly in the season opener, and that's a team that Santa Margarita beat Mater Dei.
Penalty yardage could come into this too, Dan.
What's that?
Penalty yardage could come into this too.
Sure.
You don't want to, make a big play on third down. Oh no, 15 yards. You give them a fresh set of downs. Don't want to give either one of these two offenses a fresh set of downs. There's no way. You might be able to get away with it once or twice, but not for 48 minutes of these football games. Not against these two teams. Just watch it. Don't be an idiot. Hand the ball to the ref when you get in, like LT used to do when he was with the Chargers in the early days. Don't freak out. Don't, just mind your business, attention to detail, execute. And then you want to celebrate like crazy after the win, go for it. But get to the win first. Don't hurt yourself with 15 yards for this.
Yeah.
For that.
All right. Well, I'm also picking Mater Dei if I didn't say it already. Make
it
clear. So we both have Mater Dei. The only game we disagree on this week is the Santa Margarita-Sierra Canyon game. So
that's a tough one. I went back and forth in that, even though, doing the predictions column, man, it was rough, man. This division is freaky. So anything else?
That is it. So it's a great, exciting quarterfinal matchups coming up, and I'm looking forward to seeing how everybody does and seeing a full slate of OC teams playing. It's going to be an exciting round. Everybody stay safe out there in the rain.